Welcome, folks, to this JMC webinar 2024-25 Wisconsin State Reporting Roundup. My name is Paul Freed. I am one of the lead trainers at JMC. With JMC for 20 years, live in the great state of Minnesota. It is a beautiful day here in the Midwest. It is partly sunny and breezy here on August 8th. This is one of two trainings that we're going to have. This is the basics of using JMC, and then we'll ask DPI if they want to share any items as we go. And then we have one on what's new in Wisconsin coming up here, I think in a couple weeks. I'll know actually at the end when we look at the upcoming schedule there as well. But I'm going to I'll my team introduce them, and then we'll go to the DPI team as well. But we've got with us Denise Drew. Denise, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Denise Drew, and I am a trainer here at JMC, and I've been with JMC a couple of years now, but I've been working in the schools with JMC for about 25 years, so it's been wonderful. We're still getting our schools up and running. Absolutely.
Great. And then I also have Jeff Post with me. Jeff, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello. I've been with JMC about 5 years, about 5 years. Before that, worked with Wisconsin DPI and got to know the JMC state reporting team in my role with the data collection team at DPI. And before that, I worked for Milwaukee Public Schools as a tech coordinator in a couple different high schools. So been in education ever since graduating high school. So I'll hand it back to Paul.
Absolutely. And not part of our official team, but definitely part of our wider friend team is Tammy Hoffman from River Ridge School in Southwest Wisconsin. I won't have her unmute herself, but Tammy used to be a JMC client service specialist, but is still working in her school and doing some other things as well. But she has been gracious enough to join us and add her thoughts as well from an in-school perspective. Then we have two folks from DPI currently. We have Britt and Josh. Britt or Josh, do either of you want to say a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I'll start. My name is Britt Miller. I am the WISE relationship manager on our customer service team at DPI, and I've been in my role for about 6 years now. So I'm happy to be here, and let me know if you have any questions on the state reporting side of things.
Great, thanks, Britt. Josh?
Yeah, Josh Roy. I'm the product owner for the WISE ID and WISE staff products. I'm just celebrating my 21st year of being in education, where I started out at MMSD, Madison School District, and I've been at DPI a little bit over 11 years now.
That's great. Awesome. Well, appreciate having everybody on. Let's get rolling, and some folks might join us as we go, but we will just roll through. So Wisconsin schools partner with the Wisconsin Department of Instruction to provide students with the tools they need for success. For over 43 years, JMC has helped foster that partnership by providing efficient tools for sharing student data. Today, we'll show you JMC's state reporting module and hear from the State Department of Education. Here's what on the agenda. We'll do a state reporting overview. It's very high level. Setting your calendar in JMC, start of the year, ensuring all students and staff have state IDs, managing student enrollment, digital equity, managing special education in JMC, and then we'll also hear from the Wisconsin DPI. So again, if you're just joining us, just to tell you again, this is kind of the nuts and bolts. I think every user in Wisconsin who does DPI reporting for a JMC school should watch this video, as we're always updating it, tweaking it, making it better and more efficient. And then again, I'll tell you the date at the end when we have what's new in Wisconsin. We'll probably be repeating some things we might have laid out here as well, especially from the folks at DPI if they know some things, or the programmers. But we've done that now where we do these like what's new webinars, which work really well. And we're also doing a little bit of a work session as well, just going through some of the start your steps. The goal is you could do the work after we're done here over the next week or two, and then come back to that what's new / work session. And if you have questions, we can answer them right there because we have many of the same folks there. So it's a great way to make sure you're moving forward effectively. If you are brand new to Wisconsin State Reporting, you definitely want to watch this video from start to finish. We want to know what's on your mind. It's one of the important reasons we host our annual state reporting roundups. Simply use the Q&A chat feature in your webinar toolbar at any time to see a questions, every time you see a question slide. And, you know, if you reach out to us at JMC and say, hey, I want some, one-on-one Wisconsin WISEdata training, I always respond, watch this video, attend the Wisconsin WISEdata JMC trains, because not one person can know all of the state reporting requirements in Wisconsin. There's a lot to it. That's why there's a team at DPI that helps you. There's a team at JMC. That's why these trainings are so important. So if you've got a question, please make sure to add it in. All right, real high level view. What is WISEdata? WISEdata is a multi-vendor open data collection system that allows school districts, charter schools, and private schools participating in parent choice program to submit data to the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, also known affectionately as DPI. The DPI maintains this system to maximize the efficient collection and use of high quality data to improve the educational success of all Wisconsin students and to meet federal and state reporting requirements. And I think it's good to have an overview because sometimes we have people join schools who've never worked in a school before. Wisconsin users have a succinct list of tasks to perform in order to fulfill the yearly WISEdata duties. To complete your 2024-2025 school year requirements, you'll need to be setting your calendar in JMC, update Ed5 settings, and enter school data. And that is where we're going to start. Get right into it with setting your calendar in JMC. I go through this part a little quickly because it's so easy. Our programmers have made it straightforward. I'll go through it quickly in reading, and then I'll show you a little bit how to do it in the live look as well. Set the first day and last day of school. The district calendar in JMC office serves as the master calendar for your school district, including the first and last day of the school year, along with late starts, early dismissal, and days with no school. Establishing your district calendar defines the total number of days in your school year and is essential for scheduling terms and establishing enrollment records. Simply set your first and last days of school and then define any special days, such as school holidays or in-services with just a few clicks. First, select your school's district. So in the top right corner, you can't see it in this picture. You go to the district building first in the drop-down list and head to attendance, calendar, days. Step 1, select the first day, select the appropriate dates from the first day of school. And over here is the last day of school drop-down list to establish the beginning and end of your school year. Step 2, click the Save button to update the first and last day of school settings. Step 3, select the appropriate building. So you'll switch now to your building here, drop-down list, and choose Special Days radio button to begin defining school holidays or in-service days in your calendar. You can select all grades if you want here from the grades drop-down list to define no school days or partial days for your entire school or for specified grade levels. And again, I'll show you more of this when we get to the live look there. Step 5, double-click the gray bar on the date in the calendar view to toggle through the no school day option. So once I've come here, I'm saying, all right, the first day of school is August 1st, but the 9th is a day off, right? So I can double-click on it one time, it'll change it to a no school day. It'll say school days for your school days, excuse me. It's a regular day of school. If I double click it one time, it'll say it's a no school day. That is days without school, such as a scheduled holiday or snow day. If I double click it again, it'll say no school AM. That's a school day that starts afternoon, indicating a late start due to an event such as a scheduled in-service or inclement weather. If I double click again, it'll say no school PM, a school day that ends at noon due to an event such as a parent-teacher conferences, staff in-services, or inclement weather. Step 6, repeat step 5 for each scheduled special day, or return to this page as needed and update the special days due to unforeseen circumstances. The page will auto-save each time you update a special day to help speed up the process of establishing your calendar. Click the left or right arrow icon to advance months in the calendar view, or click the Today button to jump to the current date when defining special days. So let's take a look at that first. I'm going to come in here and I see there's a question, but let me get to the live look here first. I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger. So first I'm going to go into my district building. Everybody would do that. And my word of advice is I would just typically have one person do this for your district. You could have each building do it if you want to as well, but just to sit down with your district calendar and do it, it's pretty darn easy. So I come here, I go to attendance, calendar days, attendance, calendar and days, set your first day. I've already done that. Set your last day of school and click save. Okay. And then what will happen is, and mine's going to update here. It will then update down, and I'll show you after it goes to the progress here. It'll update here and have no school days until your first day of school that's listed there, right? That's all there is to it, right? It's not hard to do. It's not hard to do it, any of those items. It's going to set that first day of school and mark all these other days as being no school in there as well. Okay, I'm actually going to open up another one here because I don't necessarily need to wait for that to update since this is just a demo database for us here as well. Then what I can do is I can go to my demo school and I can go to attendance, calendar days. So that's my building. You have to do this now for each building, right? That's one of the important things to note, because each building might have different special days. So for example, let's say this is my first day is the 23rd here. Let's say that everybody starts on the 23rd and they go the 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th. But for some reason, you don't have school on the 30th. I've actually got there. Let's say the 29th and the 30th. I would double click on this one time and it'll turn that to be a no school day, right? Oh, sorry, I go a little lower. There we go. That's a no school day. So this is my first day of school, second day, third, fourth. There's no school on this day. Maybe that you say, oh, nope, it's not a no school day. It's going to be off. And I can't remember the AM or PM, which comes up next. We'll see here. There's no school AM. So it's still my 5th day of school, but we have school off in the morning. Maybe I want it to be no school PM. Double click on it again. There's no school PM. And if I want to get back to, hey, it's a school day, I'll double click on it again. And that'll take it back to a school day there right there. So now my 30th is the only day that's a no school day. I've got my first 5 days of school listed there. Now, another thing that is kind of common is that maybe kindergartners don't start on the first day of school, right? They just come a day late or something like that. You'd come here and you'd say, all right, this particular special day that we have here is not for all grades. It's just for our grade 0 students or kindergarten. I'm just going to choose grade 0 as an example. All of our preschool kids, kindergarten, they don't come on the first day of school. It's just our students grades 1 through 12. Then, so now I've come up here. I've got special days chosen. I've got grades 0 chosen. I can double click on this and it's going to make it, you'll see, no school on day 1. I'm actually going to make this a little smaller so I can see it all at the same time. No school on day 1 for grade 0. Now, when I come back to this screen, I'm just going to refresh this screen, or I'll go back to my home screen and come back to it. I want to show you what it looks like. So I go to attendance, calendar, days. When I come back here, it defaults to all grades. And it's going to say first day of school varies by grade level. So we're telling you, hey, there's some grade level or grade levels that don't have this day as their first day of school. JMC does all the calendar stuff and everything behind the scenes, but it's telling you that it varies by grade level there. So it's a great way of letting you know there's something going on with that particular day that is that's listed there. So that's how you go in and put in your all grade days or your special days there, days that are days off. Another common example, and I'm not going to go way to the end of the year, but you could use the right arrow button to go to June, July, August, whatever next year. Some people give their seniors, right, the last day of school off or the last few days of school off. You would then go to June using your advance here and say, for my grade 12, let's say that this was, I'm not going to fast forward, but say this is September, say this was June, and my 12th graders have June 6th off for whatever reason. I've got grade 12 there. I double click and I mark this as a no school day. When I go back to all grades, you're going to see it's going to say, hey, this is a varies by grade level on day 10 because we know our 12th graders are not part of that. Now, if you want to, you actually can mark the no school days at the district building as well by coming in here. Let's see, I'm in September. If I do it here, this is for all students in all buildings. So, if you're a K-12 building, you really can do your no school days for the whole district here or here if you're a K-12 building. But if you've got multiple buildings, you've got 2 elementaries and 2 middle schools and 2 high schools, when I mark it as a no school day here, so September 2nd, for example, that's going to be no school for the entire district, right? So now when I go back to my building and I look at September 2nd, you'll see it's a no school day, right? I can't even change it here. I can't do anything to it because it's been marked at the district level. Okay, Denise, is there a question that we need to address here?
I believe you just addressed it. Christopher asked if both schools in our district have the same special days, could we set that in the district or does it have to be done in each school?
Yep, nope, it can be done in the district, absolutely. So it can be either done in the district or you could do it by building. It's easier to do it at the district. So I think best practice, thank you, Christopher, is to come into the district, set the first day, set the last day, mark all the district no school days. And then when that is done, then you go to your building and take care of. Really, at that point, it typically is grade level, grade level specific days that you're taking care of there as well. So I think that's that. Was there another question there, Denise?
Nope, he just said done, thanks.
Well, there we go. That's
Got
all
it set up as you were doing it.
Absolutely. Great. All right. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to go back to our slides, and I'm going to have you read, Denise. Does that sound good?
Perfect. We're going to talk about setting term dates now. In JMC Office, you can establish term dates at the building level, setting the start and end dates for each grade period on your school calendar. By doing so, you initiate the proper functioning of gradebook and attendance features in both JMC Teacher and JMC Office. Whether your district follows quarters, semesters, trimesters, or any other combination of settings, the setting term dates at the beginning of the school year using JMC Office Calendar ensures a seamless start to your academic year. So to set your term dates, you navigate to Attendance, Calendar, Days in JMC Office, and then you select the term date, the radio button to enter, and edit the term and begin editing those dates. Then you double click on the gray bar on that day that represents either the start or the end of the term to open up the grading term dates editing window. Fun fact, JMC Office will automatically set the start date for the first term and the end date for the last term based on the district's first and last day of school selection. You can also edit weekend days, which are usually distinguished on the calendar as grayed out to identify typical no school days. And there you go. That's after you've double clicked on that screen and you've got the radio term in there. You go step 3, selecting the terms that take effect on the selected day by placing a check mark in the appropriate term checkbox. Step 4, you click the save button. So the red arrow shows that you're going to start semester 1 on 8/1 as well, and you're going to start quarter 1, and you're going to start try 1 as well, and then you save. Helpful tip, take a peek at your term dates by clicking the View Term Dates quick link on the side. So let's take a live look at setting the district and building calendars.
Okay, so I'm going to come in here and let's go to my item here that's listed here. Great. Okay, so I'm in the same place just to level set you here. I've got to be in the building here because we're doing term dates. Terms are only done in the building, so each building needs to do this. Go to Attendance, Calendar, and Days. And when you're on Attendance, Calendar, Days here, we choose term dates. Now, there's not really a fast way to do this. Probably gonna take you 10 minutes per building, so it's not that long, but there's not really a shortcut. So here's what you do. You choose term dates. The term dates are the same terms no matter what grade level you're in. Now it automatically knows that if I double click on this day, it knows that that's the start of the school year, start of Sem 1 and quarter 1. So it's gonna choose those things, I believe, for you if you got those term dates set. I don't think you need to check them. You can double check just to make sure. I know that we were getting this ready for the video. If not, you would choose Sem 1 and quarter 1. I don't have trimesters. I don't have hexes in summer in this particular school. So I don't need to put those in there. Then what will happen is I'm gonna say I'm a quarter school. I'm gonna go to October 31st, always the day I choose, or something around that for the end of quarter 1. So this is what you're going to do. We'll go to, here we go. We're gonna say November 1st. I double click on it. Again, just to be clear, got my term date set. I double click on here, day 49. This is going to be my quarter 1. Oh, somebody's already done this here. Okay, that's gotcha. So sorry, they were doing this for the video. We've already got this in there. Here we go. We're going to do November 8th. Somebody came in here and they said, all right, quarter 1 end is 11/08. So they came in, chose that date, and click save. Now, here's the thing to make sure that you then have your quarter 2 starts the following school day. Some people from other SISs have this crazy thing where they're putting on Saturdays and Sundays, and I don't understand that at all. It's not how we do it at JMC. Terms can only end on a school day or start on a school day. So I'm ending on November 8th, and then I'm going to come here, and actually I'll take this one off so you can see what it looks like here. I'll come in and say, all right, I've got a red one here. That's my quarter 1 end date. Now I'm going to come to day 11, or I'm sorry, November 11th, and change this to quarter 2 start. You'll see there's no date there. Boom, I check quarter 2 start, and I click save, just like that. And then you would just continue to go through there. There should not be a day of school in between these items, right? So don't overthink this. Go through your calendar. What day does a term end on? What day does a term start on? And then when I get to the end of semester 1 for my district here, I come in here and say, all right, semester 1 ends here in this particular school on January 10th. So when I click on this, it says it's the Sem 1 end and the quarter 2 end, right? They both end on the same date. And then if I say Sem 2 and quarter 3 start on the same date, let's just uncheck these so you can see what it would look like. Go. Okay, I need, oh yeah, January 13th. That's the start of Sem 2 and quarter 3. Double click. Sem 2, start, quarter 3, start, and click save, just like that. Not hard to do. What's your double check when you're all done? Like Denise said, click the view term dates here. And anything you teach, any term you're teaching in should have a date listed there. If I come here, let's say I make a mistake. I'm just gonna take this off for a second. How would I catch my mistake? When I'm all done, I go to view term dates. Ruh-roh, no date there, right? There should be a date there. I gotta go back, make sure I'm choosing that date there so that all of them have dates listed. And that's how a lot of things function in JMC are based on the calendar. If you use the email all teachers of the student function, it looks at their schedule and the calendar. When we print report cards, it looks at the calendar and dates. And so very important to have your dates set up correctly. And that's why we take the time to look at this. So
a little fun fact, Paul.
Yeah.
If you have a workshop day the day after the semester, the quarter ends or the semester ends,
yep.
So the next day is a no school day, you cannot start semester 2 when it's a no school day.
That's correct. Yep. It has to be a day that is students are in the classroom, right? And so you wouldn't start on a faculty in-service day or anything like that. So I always tell people, don't overthink it. It's only school days. And then that's also how it calculates the day numbers here. So it's calculating for you the day numbers here, and it's displaying it on the home page and most pages of JMC at the top. All right, Denise, I don't see any questions, so I'm going to keep on rolling here. Start of the year, update your EdFi settings. If you're brand new to JMC, this is going to be an important step. The Wisconsin DPI uses the WISEdata portal to collect information from your school, and EdFi is the mechanism that makes the sharing of that data possible. On the administrator options page in JMC Office, update a few of the EdFi settings to enable WISEdata access to your JMC database and submit your data to the DPI. I want to encourage Tammy Hoffman and the folks from DPI, when we get it at any part, if you want to jump in, just say, hey, Paul. And if you want to add some information there, or any of our programmers, go ahead, just to say my name, and I will definitely jump in. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll go through these items, and then at the live look, I'll say if folks have any questions or things they want to add, they can add this, because calendar, I can go up and down. Sometimes with these things, folks have other wisdom to add as we go here. So in JMC Office, head to File, to the Administrator Options page, which I'll show you in a few minutes, and click the EdFi settings link in the EdFi settings box to configure EdFi settings for WISEdata submissions. Step 1, place a check mark in the Enable EdFi Interchanges checkbox to turn on the EdFi integration. Step 2, place a check mark in the Enable Creating and Posting of EdFi Special Education SSEPA and SSEPEA resources checkbox to allow WISEdata access to special education student information such as programs, entry dates, and exit dates. Fun fact, the JMC tech support has entered the API URL, authentication URL, identity URL, and immunizations URL when setting up your database. So please skip over these fields. So that's these ones right here. You do not want to change them. JMC has entered them for you. If they're not entered in, just reach out to our tech support team. Step 3, enter the key and secret obtained from DPI in the client key and client secret fields to securely establish your EdFi connection. I'll ask DPI in a minute, or our programmers, where they might be able to find that. Step 4, select your school's reporting designation from the profile drop-down list to specify the set of data which will be shared with DPI. Of course, you would be public or private choice, which is a private school involved with a private choice school program. That should be one of the easiest things you check in the program. Step 5, select a range of students from the grades, resources, endpoint cutoff drop-down list to set the students who are included in your WISE data reporting there as well. And we'll look at that drop-down list in the live look. Step 6, select your preferred report detail level from the report detail level drop-down list to set the amount of information provided in all EdFi reports. Detail is the most amount of feedback included on each report. Summary is a high-level overview of the most important report results. I think we recommend, and Jeff, you can correct me if I'm wrong in the live look. I thought we said start with summary, but I could be wrong about that. And so we'll hear from Jeff when we get to the live look. Step 7, select your preferred order from the report sort order drop-down list to customize the sorting options for EdFi reports. Step 8, place a check mark in the enable scheduled update checkbox to allow WISE data updates to occur on a nightly basis. If you placed a check mark in the enabled update checkbox, click the alarm clock icon to designate a time during the evening when users are no longer entering data into the database to ensure accurate reporting. So I don't even know if we allow you to, but I think we need to have this be after like 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock so that's when that data is sent. We don't want it to be in the middle of the day. We want after the day is done there. Step 9, enter an email address in the EdFi notification email address field to receive error reports when errors are detected in data that is shared with WISE data. Step 10, select a building from the building dropdown list to configure EdFi settings for a specific JMC building right down here. Step 11, optional, place a check mark in the send unknown statuses in the SSF SPA for this building checkbox to allow JMC to update school, food, service, program, association with status of unknown if your school does not participate in a state or federally funded school lunch program. All these slides are available to you. We'll send them with the presentation that you can download them in the description of this YouTube video if you want to go back and look at these instructions. Step 12, place a check mark in the disable sending student addresses for this building checkbox to prevent addresses from being uploaded to the DPI. It's not very common, but you have the ability to do that. Step 13, place a check mark in the enable sending student transcript resource for this building checkbox to upload student transcript information to the DPI. Step 14, click the save button to update your EdFi configuration settings. So we're going to take a live look at configuring EdFi settings for WISE data submissions. And this is where I would ask folks from the wider JMC team or from DPI, if you've got any wisdom to share about when to click things or not click things. I might have a few questions as well. So for our users, you go under File to Administrator Options. You'll have to be a JMC administrator to be able to do this. So an average office person typically can't do this. So File to Administrator Options. Then you'll go to EdFi Settings. And you'll want to come in and you'll want to check that Enable EdFi Interchanges checkbox. Then enable creating and posting of EdFi special education resources. Anybody in the JMC team, is this something that's typically done or not done? I know that in Wisconsin, there are third-party special ed programs at Seeds, Oasis. I know there's new names there. So do typically JMC schools select this box or not?
At the moment, we have most of our customers selecting that box because they have a third-party special ed provider. We do have one customer, I believe, that still is doing their own SEPA and SEPA submissions. That's possible to do out of JMC. But in this case, that's rare. So in most cases, we'll be checking that.
Great. So they would check that box just like that. Okay.
Actually, that's the reverse.
Oh.
We want that unchecked for most of our clients.
Yep, you're right. I had that backwards in my head.
Yeah. The only time it's checked is if they don't use a third-party SPED vendor.
Got it. Yep, that's why I want to make sure, because I only refer to this page once a year, so I appreciate that. So we are not enabling the creating and posting of EdFi special education resources because schools are using a third-party vendor. That's the vast majority. If you are, right now we only have one school that does that through JMC, they would check that.
Correct.
Great. Then we've got these API and URLs and so on and so forth. JMC puts that in for you. If it's not in there already, you can reach out to our team here. Now the client key and secret, do they get that themselves? Is that right from the DPI team, from the WISE Dash or WISE Data Portal, or how do they get that?
Paul, this is Heather. You would actually get that from the EdFi credential application, where you have one person or maybe two people in your district that have access to that tool.
Heather, thanks for joining us. That's why I love you. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Yep.
And JMC staff also has access to that. So it's a good way for us to make sure that that's absolutely correct. But the school can go in and fill that in, or and JMC can verify that is correct.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. And of course,
and thank you for one more thing. Jeff, while you have access to it, it's access to view. Ownership of creating all of that is on the LEA themselves. The great thing about JMC having access to it is that you never need to send the key or secret via email, nor would you want to for security purposes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's very, the highest of private information there as well. Profile, you should know if you're a public or private choice. So I'm going to leave that as is there. Then this grade resource endpoint cutoff here. Jeff or Greg, do you have anything more to say about that?
So the purpose of it is, I believe, when we're generating transcripts, there's an option. In most cases, I think the state is only looking for high school transcripts, but there could be, I think, scenarios where there is credit awarded at lower grade levels that would be high school credit.
Okay.
So I think that's the reason there's the option there.
That's not for transcripts. That's for the grades resource here.
Okay. I think both resources use that though, but you're right.
Maybe. I think there was a point where we were only submitting grades for some grade levels. Heather, what's the expectation now? I think, are we submitting grades for all K-12?
You know what? Let me do just one verification on something before I respond to that.
Yeah, no worries. And that's why we got the whole team here, because, you know, it's one of those things where, again, we set them once a year and then you don't go back to them again. So that's why we got the team that's listed here as well. While she looks that up, and Heather, just to give you a moment, let's get to something that's just a little bit more straightforward. It's the enable. First of all, it's the report detail level. I don't remember, Jeff, what were we recommending, detail or summary? I thought it was summary to start, but I could be wrong. Yep.
We would recommend summary to start. And in most cases, you're going to want to leave it in summary. If you find it in detail, that might mean that Greg and I were in there doing some debugging or trying to check on certain special situations, and we forgot to set it back to summary. Yep. The main difference between the two modes here is that when you finish doing an EdFi submission, the report you get at the end will either be inclusive of every single transaction that happened and give you a little detail on that. That would be the detail mode. Very informational, kind of interesting to me, but probably drinking from the fire hose for most folks. And you're not going to be able to find much that you need to work on there because it's going to be a needle in a haystack. Which the summary mode pretty much just gives you a very brief kind of statistics on how each piece did, and then it will present just the errors that you should need to be concerned with. So the summary mode is going to be much shorter and much more to the point of what you might be interested in working on. Great.
And then the report sort order, I think people default to timestamp me. It's by time of day. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yep. However, the transactions get pushed through is the default.
I'd leave it at that. And Heather, I'll come back to you in just a minute. Just give me a little more time. But the enabled schedule update, like I said, you can choose a time. We recommend 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock. Somewhere between 6 and 9, I think, is what we recommend. My one question is, and I know we like the enabled schedule update, do we typically have people check that right away? Or do we have them check it after they've been sending data in and then they clean up their data? I don't remember where we kind of land on that, Jeff or Greg. Does it matter?
Right now, we're going to have folks go through their start your page in our checklist process, and then left to right through the tabs. And then the idea that we had is eventually we would actually make a tab that would be able to, once you get to the final tab, you could turn on the scheduled portion.
Yep.
So at the moment, if this is the very first time you're setting this up and it's still the beginning of the year, and you have not done your start your pages yet, I would not turn on the scheduled updates until your start your page looks good.
That's because you're going to be getting a whole bunch of errors of stuff that's not in there and so on. So just to be clear and repeat what Jeff said, it's in the instructions, but I would make a little note to yourself, especially if you're a new school in Wisconsin. Hey, go under the EdFi settings on September 15th or whatever, and enable the scheduled update at a time, but for right now, you'll just be pushing data. And as you push that data or pulling data, the more pushing data, you would get an error report and you would fix those errors as we go. And then when you do that, you want to put an email address in here, because when you have an error report, when that data gets uploaded automatically at 6:00 p.m., it's going to email this person or persons. I think you can put a comma in there with a report of what the errors are. So Heather, what did we think? What's our final verdict on the grade resource endpoint cutoff?
So the grade, I see grades tied to transcripts, which is typically high school and older. And I do have another note into somebody else to help just verify that I'm not missing anything for those lower grades, but it looks like grades are captured for the course transcript specifically for high school.
Great. Awesome. That sounds great. And then we get down here, and this is not my strong point, so I appreciate folks being here. You can choose each school if you had multiple buildings here in your district, or it might be. So send this unknown status for SSFSPA for this building. If I remember from the directions, you would check this if you're not participating in the free and reduced lunch program. Is that correct, gentlemen?
Yeah, these are on the bottom are rare.
Okay.
They're seldom used, but they're there for people who are specifically advised to do it, and we're typically going to go check those for them.
Okay, great. Good. So you don't have to worry about those unless the team is reaching out for you to do that. So when you're done, you go ahead and click save, and I'm actually going to uncheck this here. So that this is what it would typically look like for you for a school to start here, and then you click save. So we have time for, first of all, thanks for all the help from everybody there. The floor is yours. It's time for questions. Denise, are you fine reading off those questions? I see 3 in there.
Yes. Jody said, I have grade 9 through 12th and grade resources endpoint cutoff. And I think we just answered that question. She said, I believe this is based on reporting requirements.
Jody Kotek, thank you so much.
And then also Carrie Adams said, regarding grades, we have it set to 9 through 12 and have some 8th grade students who take one course for high school credit. Is 9 through 12th correct settings? I believe it is correct, so that there are not overlaps with the 8th graders' regular school.
You're correct in how it's set up in JMC. I think the question is, would she select all grades then? Does anybody know on the DPI or JMC team, or is that be something she has to ask DPI about? I think you might have to reach out to DPI just to make sure with that 8th grader is taking like 9th grade algebra or something like that. So I would do that since it's not as much of a well-known field there. So I would have her reach out to DPI and then maybe just shoot us an email, myself an email, since you got my email address, to let me know what the resolution is. I would be interested as well.
Great.
Hi, sorry, this is Britt. I misunderstood the question and then I was just looking at it in the chat. So are you talking, Carrie, if you're saying you have a particular school that's set to 9 to 12 and then you have you have 8th graders participating in a course, or I guess I just want to clarify what I'm understanding about the question you're asking.
I can speak for Carrie, just I know their school, and a lot of schools, right? They have as an example, might be the specific example, 8th graders taking 9th grade algebra during their 8th grade year. So she's saying, all right, we're sending transcript information in. If I set this to grade 9 through 12, is that somehow incorrect for those 8th graders who are receiving credit as 8th graders? Is something missing out, something not correct in there, or is this going to suffice, this particular setting of grades 9 through 12?
Okay, yep. So when you're setting up your schools in school directory, 9 to 12 is correct if those are the grades serviced. In WISEdata, we have a thing called a coursework enrollment, which is where you'd have the primary enrollment for that 8th grader at their 8th grade school, and then you would have an additional coursework enrollment for that 9th grade course at the high school. So if that doesn't answer your question, I know that's getting a little bit more into the WISEdata side, so I don't want to dig too deeply into that, Carrie, but feel free to put in a help ticket and we can help walk you through that a little bit more thoroughly.
Great. And then there's one more question. I'll just go into it. I just brought up. Carrie said, what are the pros and cons of scheduling updates? So that's an easy one. You'll want to turn on the scheduling updates, because what it does, Carrie, and everybody, is it automatically sends the data every night. And that way you're getting an error report the next day for any errors you made today. So in the old way, where we didn't have scheduled updates, you might go in once every week, 2 weeks, maybe you got busy and it was a month before you pushed your data to your JMC data to WISEdata. And then you've got a whole bunch of error reports. You're like, oh man, this kid joined 29 days ago. I don't remember what, and so on. By enabling scheduled updates, that means on September 15th, when you turn it on, when you come back to school on September 16th, there's an email saying, hey, here's 7 errors you need to fix. And you get to 5 of them that day. And so the next day it comes, you get another email, here's 3. And so you're fixing them in time. So then when you get to your count dates or end of the year or any of that kind of stuff, you've been fixing them in time when it's fresh in your mind, instead of waiting to have to push a button to send the data into WISEdata. So it saves you pushing the button. It saves the hassle of waiting to do everything all at once. And just because you get that email on a Tuesday doesn't mean you need to fix them. You could wait till Thursday to fix them, but you're not pushing any buttons. You're automatically getting alerted. Here's some errors you need to address. So great. Anybody else want to add to that question?
He does have one more question. Is it the same as upload students in WISEdata?
It is. It's what it does. Or very similar. I can't say it's every single thing, but I believe it's very similar to Wisconsin WISEdata update students by grade level and update student. Jeff and Greg, we still want people to do this. The update students by grade level at the end of their reporting window. Is that correct? I think that's correct. Isn't that what we had said before?
Yeah. So the reason you would not need to run that if you are taking a look at the emails that might be being received from the scheduled update, and if your emails are coming back clean, if the WISEdata portal is telling you that your validations are all where you need them to be, you would not need to do a manual run. But typically, folks, you just want to make sure things are good. So you would do a manual run with that update by students grade level. I would pick the all, let it shoot everything over. And then what's nice is you get the report right there telling you, if there's anything else that needs to be worked on. So it's kind of all just an ecosystem, right? Of well, what needs to happen right now and what are the pieces of information that you're looking for to work on. Ideally with the nightly jobs, it's stretching out that work into something that's hopefully just a little bit of maintenance here and there, and then you're ready to roll for those count dates, or for those snapshots, I should say.
I really appreciate the questions, the feedback, because we want our JMC users to understand what they're doing, right? To be empowered. So that's why that is why that's very important there as well. Jody has one more question. Where does this data go, or how is it used? Enabling sending transcript resources for this building. She's asking about another one there, which is the enable sending transcript student resources for this building. Anybody want to take a stab at that one? This one that, Greg, that you said that typically you guys would check, I think, or is this one that they would check to send student transcript record resources? We want to take a stab.
You're asking about the last checkbox?
Yep, Jody is.
I don't remember why we have that in there, but I think when we introduced sending of transcripts, they only wanted it for high school, and I think they probably still only want it for high school. For transcript.
And I believe it's still a completely optional submission.
It is optional too, that's correct.
Yep, there we go.
Thanks.
Great, thank you, great question. All right, so again, great questions, and keep them coming. And thanks to the DPI team for being here. We really appreciate it. Entering school data. As part of the administrative responsibilities in an educational institution, managing and reporting student enrollment and program schedules accurately is key for seamless, error-free state reporting. Accurate management and reporting of student enrollment and program schedules are vital for securing the proper funding from the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction. Ensure the precision of your school's reported data by configuring WISEdata reporting count dates and structuring kindergarten group schedules through the Edit School Data page in JMC Office. This not only guarantees the necessary funding, but also showcases the quality of your educational programs to the DPI. Configure the WISEdata count dates and kindergarten program schedules on the Edit School Data page in JMC Office. Edit School Data. Step 1, enter the accurate accountability membership count dates in their respective fields, or simply click the calendar icons to specify the count dates. Here's what they are. Accountability third Friday in September, data that is utilized to assess educational quality. Accountability October 1st child count date, public schools only, data that encompasses the tally of students currently enrolled in the school and receiving special education services as of the selected date. Membership third Friday in September, data used to compute the general aid of your school receives based on the student count as of the designated date. Membership second Friday of January count date, data requested by the DPI, used to calculate the general aid your school receives, again, based on student count as a specified date. Again, this is all available at your WISEdata site, DPI sites, and in this presentation. Step 2, click the Save button. Helpful tip to ensure accurate enrollment reporting, consider the following when selecting your count dates. Helpful tips. If any of your planned membership count or accountability dates differ from DPI's established guidelines, reach out to the DPI to obtain a waiver to change to membership dates. If October 1st falls on a weekend, opt for either the preceding Friday or the following Monday to adhere to the DPI submission timeline. If no dates are set, membership count dates will be auto set the first time a WISEdata update student or a WISEdata update grade levels advice submission is made. Before I move on from the screen, does anybody from DPI have anything they want to add to this? There's no expectation to do that. I just see a lot of reach out to DPI for this. So anything that anyone wants to add, or should we just keep rolling? Okay. Step 3, click the edit link here next to the kindergarten, pre-kindergarten subgroup designation in the grade level box to edit the grade 0 subgroup information. Step 4, select the grade level and program schedule information from the corresponding drop-down list to report students in the correct subgroup. Step 5, click the update link to save the grade level or program schedule, or you can click cancel that's listed there. So we are going to go here. This one's a little bit more straightforward here under edit school data. You got the end of your data set. We've already set that. That's why it's listed there. We used to do it here. Don't do it anymore. Use calendar items. Choose these here. When you want to come in here to a grade level, choose it here. KA is going to be, I'm making this up, of course, pre-kindergarten. What's their program schedule? It is, I'm just making this up. They might not even match. That's okay. Click OK and make sure those match for whatever you have in here. I think it's showing here these items for ones that actually that's not necessarily true. You would want to make sure that you would look to see what kindergarten groups you have there. If you wanted to check and see, you could, right click, open a new window, your view student data screen, and any of these groups we have here, KB, KD, and KG, those are ones that I have in JMC as my we call them grade 0 subgroups. Those are the ones I would probably put in here to have in here as a kindergarten group or a pre-kindergarten group listed there. So anything you are listed in JMC with a group of students for a grade 0 subgroup would have a corresponding grade level and program schedule listed here as well. So this one's pretty straightforward here. Let's go to the question line. What do they got, Denise?
Well, Brooke wants to know, can you explain the delete existing data? And that came on the heels of us moving on to this section. So it's regarding the DPI section, I believe.
The delete existing data.
Yeah, if you want to go back to the DPI screen where you're setting it up.
When pushing data manually. Okay, Brooke, we'll get to that actually in, great question, Brooke. We will get to that when we get to the actual part of pushing that data manually there as well. So let's hold on to that question and we'll talk about pushing data and like deleting students from EdFi and things like from WISEdata and so on. So great questions, Brooke. You probably have to type them in them again because I might forget them. Okay, I think we'll keep rolling. That part was pretty straightforward. So I am going to turn it over to Denise. Is that right, Denise, for you to read this section?
That is perfect. Submitting and receiving data to start the year. Submitting WISEdata is essential for establishing your school's information with the Wisconsin DPI, and JMC Start Year pages guide you through the necessary tasks to pass your data to the state. Complete the task on each tab to successfully submit your school, student, graduation, and parent data to the WISEd data portal. To sync your school's data in Wisconsin, DPI, you head to Wisconsin, WISEdata, Start Year in JMC office. Step 1, you click the Prep tab to access the checklist of items that are to be completed before the start of the school year. Step 2, place a check mark in the appropriate checkboxes to indicate that you have completed them.
I'm going to say something very important, and I'll repeat it during the live look. This is intended that you start on the top at the left, do this tab, complete each item. Don't check them off until you've done them. Move to the next tab, start at the top, go all the way down, complete every item, and go on and so on and so forth. Do not work ahead. Do not jump ahead. Always start at the top, left to right, and work on these items. That's how it's meant to be done. So data is flowing correctly. So I'll only say that once now. I'll say it again at the live look. That's how important it is. And repetition is the key to learning.
Fun fact, a WISEdata Start Year Summary page will alert you to records that need updating if you attempt to place a check mark next to an incomplete item. Helpful tip, click the Print Summary button to print a copy of the WISEdata Start Year details that need to be completed, or click the Cancel Summary button to return to the checklist.
Now, I'm not gonna, you might not see this when I do the live look because I don't have real data and connected like to the WISE Dash portal and so on. But what it's saying is that sometimes when you send data in, there'll be a report of what was sent or what was received or an error report. And we encourage people to print those to a PDF and save them if you feel like you need to save them. This is saying, hey, I've got no state IDs for these kids. I would print that off to a PDF and go in and put those state IDs in for those students. And you click Cancel Summary, it'll take you back to that page. So you're not going to see these, but it's, again, this is probably the next most important thing I'm going to tell you is when you get one of these import summaries, if you've got anything in that you need to do based on that, print it to a PDF, name it what it is, the date and what maybe you were doing, store it in a folder, work through that right away, and get that information taken care of.
Step 3, click the first enabled button on the Tables tab to download the corresponding code tables from the DPI and seamlessly update your JMC database for the start of the school year.
This is where you're pulling information from DPI.
Step 4, click the Print Summary button to print your download results, and click the Cancel Summary button to return to the Tables tab and continue updating your JMC database for the start of the year. Step 5, you repeat steps 3 through 4 until each table record has been updated in your JMC without errors.
So as we go back to the previous slide, start at the top, you'll click, let it run, and go all the way down the list there.
Step 6, you click the first Enable button on the General tab to begin uploading school and student data to the DPI. Helpful tip, to enable the buttons on the General tab, complete all the items on the Prep tab. And
I'll talk about that when we get to the live look as well.
Step 7, fix any errors displayed on the Start Year Summary. Report and repeat steps 6 and 7 until all school and student data is successfully updated in WISEdata.
That's right. You're sending data. If there's any errors there, fix it and then resend that data.
Then step 8, click the Student tab to view instructions for submitting the student data to the DPI.
We'll get to that in a little bit.
Step 9, click the first Enable button on the Parents tab to update parent information in WISEdata. And step 10, fix errors displayed on the corresponding report and repeat step 11 until all parent data has been successfully submitted to WISEdata.
Let's take a live look. Yeah, oh, sorry, I apologize. You go ahead, Denise.
Let's take a live look at submitting the start of the year WISEdata for Wisconsin.
All right, here we go. Wisconsin, WISEdata, start year. Now, if I come in here and I uncheck these, I think it's going to let me, you'll see it's going to kind of flash because things are happening in the background. So you'll come in here, you won't have anything checked. I was actually playing with this before the presentation here. So I made sure I was right and I had everything ready to go. If I come in here and I start to go in here, sometimes, not always, but here, it's not even going to let me do these things. We're trying to make it smart so you can't work ahead and do things out of order. So you'll come here to the Prep tab. You'll first come here, enter your calendar and days. You should have done that already because you listened to this presentation and you thought, oh, I'm going to take care of that. So, hey, that's already done. You can check that off. And you say, oh, also my calendar days are set for each school. Great, you check that off. Now, all my students are reportable for the state have WISE IDs. You might not have that done yet. Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit in this presentation. Don't check this box off until they all have state WISE IDs. then you'll come in here. This actually is going to tell me, hey, you check that box. This is what it's saying. Andy doesn't have a state ID. Ryan doesn't have one. So it's kind of calling your bluff a little bit there, but let's pretend that they're all there. All course sections have teachers and rooms assigned for every building. If you want to take a quick cliff notes here, you could go to schedules, course data list. I'm going to right click or control click, open that in a new window. I'm going to do my course schedule info for only courses with students enrolled, and make sure that every course, oh, I don't have any kids in courses yet, so let's pretend that I did there. Let's say that was checked there. I just want to make sure that every course has a teacher listed right here. And I think it was teacher, is that right? Let's go back to my teacher and room. So here is my teacher and here's my room. If I've got a class with kids enrolled, I don't have any kids enrolled, but if I did, every class is a teacher room. If I don't have that, I would update that before I'd come back here and check that box. Okay.
Okay, we got a great question right now. If they aren't putting courses in JMC, do we check the box?
If you're not putting courses in JMC, then you would still check the box. I would check the box because it's just our way of making sure that your data is correct before you send it in or before you're submitting anything to the state. I think a school could make it so that they don't have to submit course data. So somebody else wants to chime in during the Q&A part of that, but that would be my answer, that if you're not putting courses in JMC, then you would check that because it enables the next things to be done. All teachers have WISE IDs for every building. I think that whether you're doing your courses or not in JMC, I believe all your teachers need to be in and they need to have WISE IDs. And then we just looked at this on the Edit School data. All of our accountability and membership dates are set on Edit School data. So we've talked about those things already as well. Once that's done, you'd go to the tables tab. I'd click this, update all descriptors. This was already done here. I'm going to click it again just to kind of see how it runs here. You'll see it's going to run for a few seconds to a minute and update all that information that's listed there. You'll want to wait till that's done, right? Till it's done spinning here, because it's actually reaching out to the WISE data, the DPI site, and updating it there. So it's, hey, you're telling your resource type and all this stuff. I think typically when you're bringing this data in from JMC, from DPI to JMC, you're updating into your database. You're not going to have to do anything because you're just bringing information in that's listed there as well. Yeah, the only one I have a question about, and I don't if anybody from DPI or Jeff or Greg want to ask, is unlock or delete all API data. Is this something that we would encourage them to do, or what's the purpose with these buttons down here?
Yeah, so we're going to hide those because that's something only JMC would do.
Oh, great.
The purpose of them is a very rare circumstance where transitioning from one SIS to another, if the prior SIS has pushed any data up to DPI, it's very difficult for the new SIS, whoever's taking over, to kind of take over that data or get rid of it. So this is a way that if that should occur, that JMC will be able to clear out the data that went up and start managing all of the data that's needed for reporting.
Because this is sorry, go ahead. I thought you were done. Go ahead, Jeff.
I think we're going to create a utility tab there that hopefully we can make it clear that is, in our left to right process, you don't need to actually go through the utility tab. Perhaps we'll hide it all the way over on the right or something.
Great. So the schools will not see this, don't have to do anything with it. You can just ignore that. Great. Then we go. So this is update information from DPI. The general is sending information, right? You can see update means, hey, I'm updating our database. General is sending information. When you send these items, you might get reports that have things you have to fix. And so you'll come in here and do this here. This is telling you to go to Wisconsin WISEdata, update calendar dates, Wisconsin WISEdata, update calendar dates. So I could go ahead, control click, open that up, and that will allow me to come in and advisor update calendar dates. So you can just following the steps that we go through here. And then for the students, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but this is pushing data to WISEdata. It's the way of pushing it instead of just having the nightly ones. That's later on our presentation as well. And there's a parent side here to send all parent information and send student parent associations for all buildings as well. So again, left to right, up, down. If you've got a question, let us know. The floor is yours. It's time for a little Q&A. Go ahead and share your question. Let's go to the question first, and then let's see if anybody from DPI or JMC has anything else they want to add.
Christopher wants to know, we are switching from PowerSchool to JMC. I could use a bit more explanation of what will be deleted if we hit the delete API button, data button.
Well, first, you're not going to be able to press it. That is password protected. So unless you call up JMC and we give you the password, you don't have to worry about anyone accidentally pressing it because it is locked out. If we were to determine that we needed to delete data in your API, it will delete everything within the current school year when we hit that button. So kind of like just resetting back to the start year. We'll have to redo the start year tab and resend any student data as well. But again, this is a very rare circumstance where data was sent by a different system. And so JMC wouldn't directly know about the data that's sitting there in the API. And if we're taking over a school year, we wouldn't want that data sitting there in addition to the data we might be trying to send. So this is just a utility used to make sure that the base API is exactly where we need it to be to start sending data from JMC.
Great.
Okay, so he said, so if we aren't switching mid-year, we shouldn't have to have the button pushed.
Exactly.
Great.
Okay, and then
one thing, forgive me, this is Heather. One thing that I want to throw in here is it's really important that you make sure that your vendor subscriptions are set up appropriately so data can be sent from the right vendor through the API. So your current subscriptions for PowerSchool need to be modified so that they have no access after this past school year, and JMC would be read-only prior to this current school year. So you'll need to have vendor subscriptions for both PowerSchool and JMC using the EdFi credential application tool.
Good add. Thanks, Heather.
And there's one more question. What is the purpose of update calendar dates?
So, yep.
Yeah, so that that is sending the calendar dates from JMC. So kind of like what Paul showed earlier about setting up your calendar in JMC. It's taking that exact data and it's giving it to the EdFi API in the format that it wants to be able to understand what your calendar looks like. So that is updating the state through the EdFi API, informing them of what your calendar looks like as set up in JMC.
And if they have some major changes because of lots of snowstorms, would they come in and delete the existing data and then send it, say it's like February 15th and they had to change the lot of their calendar? Is that where you would delete the existing one and overwrite it? Is that correct, Jeff?
Yep, that would work pretty well. Mm-hmm.
Great. Awesome. Great questions. All right. Let's keep on rolling. I'm going to have you do this next one too. Does that sound good, Denise? And this one, actually, we don't typically do a live look on because it's pretty straightforward right inside the slides themselves.
We're going to export a student file.
And I don't even know if I said this. Ensuring all students and staff have state IDs, export a student file. Go ahead, Denise.
The process of importing WISEdata through the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction starts with exporting a person upload file from JMC. This file includes students' name and birth dates, which can then be uploaded to the DPI's website to acquire state IDs. Once the IDs are obtained, the DPI provides a file containing students' WISE IDs ready to be imported on the Import WISE ID Person Upload file page in JMC. This streamlined process ensures accurate identification and record keeping for the student in compliance with state requirements. In JMC office, head to Wisconsin, WISE ID, export WISE ID person upload file to create the person upload file that is uploaded to the DPI website. Step 1, you select all students or only students with no WISE IDs or a specific grade from the grade level drop-down list to generate a person upload file for the selected student. Step 2, click the check errors button in JMC to have JMC automatically check the errors such as no birth dates that might prevent you from acquiring IDs from the state.
So it's going to tell you, you got to have these things ready if it's going to have a good match.
Helpful tip, head to the View Student Data page, fix any errors listed on the error report, and repeat step 2 until you are error-free to ensure a successful file exchange. Step 3, click the Start Export button to create a person upload file for uploading to DPI website. Step 4, head to the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction website to upload your person upload file and acquire student IDs from DPI.
So then,
the process of
sorry, I apologize. So then you've got that file, and now what are you going to do with that file? That's what Denise is going to talk about next.
Thank you, Paul. The process of importing WISE-IDs into JMC Office from the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction offers a streamlined approach to student data management. After receiving the student WISE-IDs from DPI, you simply upload them to JMC Office, eliminating the need for manual entry. This efficient process ensures accurate identification and record keeping for each student, saving valuable time and enhancing data integrity. So in JMC Office, head to Wisconsin, WISE-ID, import WISE-ID person upload file to begin your WISE-ID import. Step 1, you click the Choose File button to browse and select the file you receive from the DPI to begin uploading the file from your computer to JMC Office. Step 2, you click the Start Import button to begin importing student WISE-IDs into your JMC database. Helpful tip, this can be done multiple times throughout the school year as new students enroll in your school and need their WISE-IDs imported. So let's take a live look at exporting and importing WISE-ID person file.
And I'm not going to take a live look. That is just straightforward. You can go check your errors, export. You got the file. You can import, you can upload that, get a file from DPI and import. We'll get to questions in just a moment here, because the other thing we can do is importing our WISE-IDs. So you keep on, we're going to roll through this one again. I don't think we'll take a live look because the slides are just as helpful. And then we'll see if people have questions about WISE-IDs. So keep on rolling, Denise.
Getting a student's WISE-ID is now a streamlined process in JMC Office, allowing users to easily obtain and import the student ID from the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, DPI. By entering student demographic information and initiating the WISE-ID lookup process, users can match students to existing DPI records, create new WISE-IDs if needed, or verify existing WISE-IDs. In JMC Office, head to the View Student Data page to find students' WISE-ID from DPI database. Step 1, you select the student whose WISE-ID is missing by entering the name of the student in the Find field. Step 2, you enter any missing primary contact information for the selected student in the appropriate field and drop-down list by clicking the Edit Contact quick link. Then click the Save button to save your changes, or you can close the button to discard them.
This is probably the biggest mistake people make, is they just put a kid's name in, their grade, gender, birth date, and they think it's going to match, but it looks at contact information. So you've got to put the contact information in there.
Step 3, enter first and last name, gender, birth date, and race ethnicity information for the student in the appropriate fields to successfully match a student to the DPI's database. Step 4, click either of the save buttons to save the demographic information you entered.
And again, you got to save it before you can click the Get ID button.
Step 5, click the Get ID button next to the state ID field to start the WISE-ID lookup process. Step 6, click the Use ID link to select the best match for the student you are entering in the WISE-ID match pop-up window.
So what happens is, and I haven't looked at this in over a year because we don't have a real database, but it comes up and it has a listing of a ranking of, I think, on a 100-point scale of different names that will match. And you'll say, hey, I'm gonna use this ID. Typically it's going to be the top one, of course, or if there is a match, and then you would choose that WISE-ID there as well. Oh, there we go. Keep going.
Fun fact, to help you quickly identify the best match, each possible match record is assigned a score from 1 to 100, indicating the match probability, with the 1 being the lowest and the 100 being the highest.
You probably wouldn't choose one that had a 1, right? And you don't have to choose one either, right? This is just meant as an easy way to do it individually.
Step 7, click the OK button to confirm importing the student's WISE ID into the state ID field. Helpful tip, if no match is found, click the Create New WISE ID button to have DPI create a new WISE ID for the student, or you can click the Cancel button to exit. And then step 8, you click either of the Save buttons to save all that information.
You're not going to be able to do any of this until you've got your EdFi is set up and so on. So typically you would do most, if not all, of the steps that we talked about previously in this presentation. And that's an important point too, is that we have these sections laid out in the most logical way so that you can do things. So that, if you don't even have your EdFi interchanges turned on and you're not connected to DPI, this is not going to work. So not only do we recommend going left to right, top to bottom when doing the start year, we recommend doing this presentation as best you can in the order that's laid out here as well.
Helpful tip, to verify an existing student-wise ID, simply click the Verify ID button next to the state ID field and follow the steps above to confirm that there is a match between this student and DPI's database.
I'm not going to take a live look here. Let's just go to the questions, like I said, because it's pretty straightforward, right? Folks by now should know how to use the view student data screen and so on and so forth. So let's go back and see, does anybody have any questions about exporting a file, importing a file, or using the get ID? I see a couple questions in there, Denise.
Yeah. Brooke wants to know, why does sometimes it prompts you to pick a match and sometimes it does not?
That's one of the mysteries of life, Brooke. I'm just kidding. But we only can look at what the matches are that the WISE data gives to us. That's my understanding. So if they don't have a match because maybe you don't have a piece of information there, there's no parent that matches or anything like that, it's not going to do that. So we're taking the information from DPI, and DPI has this great tool. JMC is plugged into this tool. But if there's a piece of information that does not match the DPI site, it's not going to even give you anything to match. Anybody else have anything they want to add to that, or did I?
Yeah, I'll just add that we do now have inside the WISEID application an advanced search ability. So if there's typos or you're trying to search for, somebody has a WISEID, but they just don't come up in the results, you can use that new advanced search tool. You just go in the regular search, and then below it, an advanced search will pop up, and you can do like partial names. For example, you could do first name and birth year and track somebody down that way, or whichever district they came from. So that's new. That just came out this month.
Cool.
Very exciting. All right. And Carrie wants to know, do you recommend separate primary contacts for a mom and dad in the same household?
I don't think we do, but anybody from DPI want to take a thought on that one? I don't think that they need to be separate. Is that correct?
The reason for the contact question is that when requested a new WISE ID for a student who never has had one, produced an error due to parent name. So the reason for the contact question, that is when requested a new WISE ID for a student who never had one, produced an error due to the parent's name.
I don't know. I don't think it would be a problem because, as folks know, in JMC, any primary contacts that live together, mom and dad, they're going to have the same address, and so that's how that works in JMCs. I don't think it's a problem. I don't know. Does anybody want to add to that?
Well, that might be when you go to create a WISE ID. If you don't have one for a student, if you don't have one parent guardian entered, you have to have that to create the records. That might be what they're referring to.
Okay. Great. Thanks, Josh. Anything else there? And if you have questions about that, you could reach out to DPI or to JMC as well. So, all righty. Let's keep on rolling. We got that. And here we go. Next is updating staff IDs. I'm going to have you take this one, Denise. I want to talk about student enrollment. So again, we're not going to take a live look here. This one is really straightforward.
Part of the start year process involves making sure all teachers in your district have updated staff-wise IDs for reporting accuracy to DPI. JMC makes this easy by allowing you to pull a report from WISEdata containing all of your teachers' IDs for quick entry into the attendance, staff, Teachers page. Attaching staff-wise IDs to your educators will allow Wisconsin DPI to confirm that they have proper certification to teach the courses that you've assigned to them. In JMC Office, you go to Wisconsin, WISE ID, get all staff's WISE IDs to download staff WISE IDs from DPI. Step 1, you click Get All Staff WISE IDs button to begin the process of downloading and displaying staff WISE IDs for each staff member. Fun fact, a summary report will be displayed on this page with each staff member and their WISE ID information for quick reference when entering the IDs for each staff member.
That is super straightforward. So we're going to keep on rolling there. I will show you though, where can you enter that manually? You can go under attendance, staff, teachers, and here's that WISE ID right there. You can find any teacher that you want, Mr. Freed, and that WISE ID would go there. You can enter it manually, or you can import those WISE IDs there as well. So that is really great. We're going to keep on rolling through this section. Again, straightforward. So let's talk about managing Wisconsin enrollment. This is one of the most important parts of this presentation. You need to know how to drop, add, re-enter students correctly. We actually have updated this part of the presentation to slim it down and make it more efficient. If I was you, I would download the slides, whether we email them to you or you're watching this on YouTube, download it from the description. And this is slide number, where are we at here? 95. So start on slide 95, 96. I'd make a little note, print it to a PDF, print it to paper, wherever you want. Have this ready to go in case you don't know what to do with student enrollment. So I'm going to go through each one at a good pace. If you've got a question, I'll say just, go ahead. Type your question in. We will take time at the end to make sure people have plenty of time to ask questions about each section here. So I'm going to go through each. There's basically 3 different types: drop, add, re-enter in general. I'm going to go through them. Then we'll take some time for question and answer. Determining the correct procedure for student enrollment can be challenging due to various circumstances. We'll cover common situations for students joining or leaving your school, enabling you to manage enrollment confidently and ensuring accurate student information for school funding. By following the appropriate process, you can maintain precise student enrollment records. Working with students entering your school. Adding new students with the new student wizard. This is for our brand new school there. Brooke and so on. We talked about how you can enter students by clicking the new student button. But once we have this presentation, I want you to use the new student wizard because it's going to help you along the way. When a new student is entering your district the first time, the new student wizard guides you through the steps of entering a new student who has never attended your district, accurately entering them into the system. When you download the PDF, you can actually click on this link here. You'll see there, and it will take you out to an article on entering a new student. Okay. So we're going to take a live look at entering a new student with the new student wizard. So I'm going to go here. I'm on my home screen. I go to edit to new student wizard, edit to new student wizard. This person is new to my district. They came over the summer. I'm going to click new student, put their name in. Last name is, I always make these up. Samantha Sammy. Samantha Sammy. And I'll put in gender female, grade 6. I'm going to put in, just because I'm pretending here, it's August 23rd, but it's going to be 2017. And then I'm going to click save. And it's going to then take me to the add screen. And I'll get to this in a moment, but in general, if the student is coming over the summer, which we're in the summer, you're going to click the skip add button. And that takes you back to the screen where you can come in. You could enter their race, ethnicity, all right, Hispanic, Latino, yes, and also Black, African American, and Hawaiian or white, and click save. I can enter in their primary contact information. We've got trainings on how to do that as a separate training, but that's how you use the new student wizard for a student that starts over the summer, right? Why do we click the skip add button? Because JMC automatically enrolls them on the first day of school. Now that's the basic. For a new student that comes, you're always going to use the new student wizard. You're always going to choose new to the district, and you'll put their information in here. We'll put in Samantha's brother, Sam and Samantha. I know it's confusing for that family. That is Sam. It's a male. Grade, they're twins. Even more confusing. Click save. Now, if this student is starting after the first day of school, when I click save here, I'm going to come here and say, It's not on the first day of school. He started on the third day of school, Wednesday, 8/28. He transferred in from a state school, maybe came from out of state. And his enrollment type is primary, and I click add. So I'm choosing an add code different because he's not coming on the first day of school. JMC automatically puts kids in on the first day of school. If I click skip add with the right code after the first day of school, we choose the date, add code, enrollment type, and click add. It takes me right back here. I can enter in the contact information. So the new student wizard is used to add students who start over the summer or after the first day of school. And we're going to keep on rolling, and then I'll take some questions. So if you're typing a question, and just hold off for just a second here. Re-enrolling students with the new student wizard. Use the new student wizard to enter a student who is a returning fifth-year senior. And again, I can click on this article. The returning student option allows you to re-enroll students who previously graduated from 12th grade but are returning to complete additional credit to complete their graduation. The new student wizard can also be used to re-enter a student who attended your school in the year but was accidentally deleted from your JMC database. This allows you to restore the student's information without duplicating their profile. I typically recommend not deleting students out, but if you did, maybe a kid came as a kindergartner and they didn't show up for 5 years, you said, I'm gonna delete them out of the current year. They didn't come in 23, 24, so they're not gonna come back. And lo and behold, they show up at your door this summer. You would use the returning to a district. So let's take a live look for your fifth year, your super seniors, or your students who have been deleted out previously are coming back. You go under edit, new student wizard. And now I would choose returning to the district. And what this does is it will look at any kid that was here previously that's not in the current year database. So I come and say, hey, let's find, just making this up here. Here is too many test kids there. Carla Jones, and Carla Jones came as a kindergartner, was gone for 3 years. So I deleted out the summer, and here she came back. It tells you who it is, Carla Jones, gender, female. It actually would put the contact information if she had some contact information here. That's why we don't delete out contact information either. It'd be listed there, and I would accept that student, and that student would be there on the first day of school. And then I would click save. And then I'd be able to start working with that particular student there as well. They came in over the summer. So that's a pretty cool feature there as well. Then again, we're still using that new student wizard. Enrolling, we'll get to that in just a moment. Does anybody have any questions about using the new student wizard to bring in new students or re-enrolling students that have come back to your school? I don't think there's too many questions on it. I think it's pretty straightforward. The real thing to know is that after I click save, and it takes me to that add screen, I skip add for kids that are coming over the summer. Again, why? Because JMC automatically adds them on the first day of school with the correct add code. All right, we got some questions.
Yeah, Carrie wants to know, she said, I don't have a skip add button.
If you go to attendance, student, I'll check here. I gotta look here for a second, Carrie. Add student, it's not gonna have a skip add there. So that might be where you're at. It might also be because you're a private school, so there might be, I don't think it would be that as well. You might have to reach out to Dex if you're not using the new student wizard. Let me rephrase that. If you're on the attendance student add student, it's not going to say skip add. If you're using the new student wizard, it doesn't say skip add. Either you've started school, but I don't think you have because it's pretty early. You might have to reach out to tech support to ask why that is, because that I am not sure. Great question. Any other questions, Denise?
That's it right now.
Okay. That is a good question. Perplexing, but I'm gonna have to leave that one. I'm not leaving you behind, Carrie. Just I'm not sure. Okay. Enrolling, returning students here. So what happens when you're enrolling a student returning for the start of a new school year? So that means that this student was gone, left sometime last year or in the previous years, but was not deleted. So that most common example, kid left last March and they were gone for the spring, maybe a migrant student or whatever it might be here. What do? You simply reactivate a student who left the district as returning for day one of the new school year using the view student data page. So I was kind of trying to choose what picture to put here, but what that's going to say is that this student right here, James Asith, he left sometime last year. And so I came in and when I dropped him, he was deactivated. And I unchecked his attendance and maybe his state reporting this summer or something like that. So that's what that would be. When we use reactivate, what we're saying is when you go to that view student data screen and you try to find that kid, first I have to come in here and I would have to choose my inactive kids because they're not gonna be listed there. And I'd find that student here. Like we can just choose John Asith here. You come in here, and what we say when we say reactivate, what we typically mean is choose check the active, attend, and state reporting checkboxes at a minimum, and rank and honor roll if that applies. So this is reactivating kids. John was gone last year. At some point this summer, he came back. I'm clicking save, and again, JMC will go in and add the correct add code there as well. Oh, let me do that again here. I think I might add 2 John Asith. Let's see. Let's see. This is John. There we go. So now when I go to my active kids and I look at my Asith, there is John Asith right there. And now he's activated. So when we say active, it's not just the active flag. Active means they are currently here enrolled today at my school. Attendance means that there's some attendance stored for some time during this school year. And so that's why we want both those checked. State reporting means they're reported to the state. That's why we need that one checked. And are they in the rank and honor? I would check those as well. Sometimes I get the question, well, my kid's a 3rd grader. Do I need to check that? And I would say I would check that because then when they get to be a 9th grader and you start doing rank and honor roll, you don't have to go in and recheck those. So most kids should look like this, if not all your kids who are in the elementary. High school might be a little different. Maybe you've got a special education student who's not in rank and honor roll or whatever it might be. That's no problem. You can uncheck those however you want. Or maybe there's a kid that I don't know how they do it in Wisconsin. I think in Minnesota, if a student is a foreign exchange student, they are not in the rank and honor roll, but they might be in the other 3 as well. So it might be different for your state, but you can decide. But typically you want all 3, if not all 5 of these checked. So that's how you reactivate a student there as well. Then helpful tip is to use the add student feature in JMC Office to re-enroll students who left your district in a prior year and are returning after day 1 of the school year. So if it's after day 1, you're still going to come in, reactivate them, make sure that you've got all those checkboxes checked. Then you go to attendance, student, to add student. Why do we go here? Because if the student comes after day 1, you have to tell us, it shows as John, because I know I was on John, what day they came on. They came on this day. And what did they do? They returned from last year, or was their first school, what would be returned from last year, but or it could be returned from last year, or they transferred back from another state school, and you click add, and that creates that corresponding enrollment record was also created there as well. So if a student in general, or the rule is if a student comes after the first day of school, you've got to tell JMC what day they came on, and that's using the attendance student add student function. Okay, let's keep on going here. Then enrolling a student who left and returned during the same school year. So just forget about everything I said. This is a different situation. If a student was at my school last year, came back and left, I'm sorry, I forget everything I say again. If a student is at my school this year, they came on day 1, and on day 15, they decided we're out of here. And then on day 25 said, I'm coming back. We call that a re-enter student. It's only students who have left, who were at your school year this year, left this year and came back this year. And so you'll see when I go to the screen, you're only going to see Lisa Foley there. Why is Lisa Foley the only person I can choose here? Because Lisa is the only student in my database who was at my school this year, left during the school year, and is able to come back. So you'll use the re-enter student feature to re-enroll a student who attended at least 1 day in the current year, left, and is now returning to your school in the same school year. So you come here, go back to my home screen to just level set you, attendance, student, re-enter student right here. Again, it doesn't show everybody because only Lisa, an asterisk means that she's inactive. Lisa is the only student who I would re-enter. So I choose Lisa, choose the day, she's primary, and re-enter. It's going to tell me corresponding enrollment history record was also created there for Lisa. And this is not part of the state reporting, but one of my favorite screens in JMC is attendance student edit attendance. And this is the only screen that shows kind of in a linear date by date fashion about a student's enrollment. So if I go to, I think it was Foley, let's see, Lisa Foley, you'll see Lisa transferred out after the first day of school. I was just playing around with this, but she was there the first day of school, transferred at the end of the day, was a non-member for these 5 days, came back on this day here on 9/5. And so it's just kind of a great way to kind of double check. Do I have these dates right? It's all listed right there as well. So I took a live look already there. Denise, what kind of questions we got?
Well, Christopher wants to know, will anything be covered at the August 26th training in Madison that was not covered today? We are signed up for that training, but don't have a need to attend if it will be a repeat.
Well, it's not in Madison, it's online, just for clarification. So that's a great question. And when we get to the DPI time, I will ask them that question. So we go over things that are new. This is all stuff that's existing. And we do a little bit of a work session there as well. So I will ask the JMC team and the DPI team, are we going to be highlighting any new features that are not part of this presentation? So just prepping the team for that, that they'll know that. And either way, if you can't attend, you can sign up and we'll email you the presentation when we're all done as well. Great. All right, work with students leaving your school. Dropping students who leave during the school year. To withdraw a student who has attended for at least 1 day in the current academic year, use the drop student feature in JMC Office. Dropping a student maintains essential demographic and enrollment records crucial for state reporting and internal record keeping while removing the student from active status. So let's take a live look. This is very easy. Once you kind of get the hang of adding and dropping students, I'm going to go to attendance, student, drop student, choose the student. Let's say Lisa came back. We'll stick with Lisa. She was at our school day 1, left at the end of the day, gone for 5 days, came back, and now she's just having a hard time. She's going to leave again on November 20th. She's transferred to another school covered. It's going to be Northwest Pines. And I'm just, of course, making these things up. Complete the school term, no. And that will drop her. It will tell us that's going to create an appropriate record there. That's all there is to it. I've dropped that particular student. And so again, just because I like this screen, under attendance, student, edit attendance, if I go back to Lisa Foley again, here we go. It's going to show me, was there on the first day, transferred at the end, non-member 5 days, came back, and then dropped out after on the day the 20th and was a non-member there. So it's a cool way, again, to double check what's going on there as well. Let's go over this, and then we'll see if anybody has any questions. It's removing students who left over the summer. Very easy to do again. For a student who's leaving over the summer in Wisconsin, deactivate the student record on the View Student Data page. Remove check marks from the active, attend, and Mars, Mars or state report in Wisconsin. It's called state report checkboxes to successfully withdraw the student for the upcoming school year. So again, this is how we do it in Wisconsin. There's not a record that is that you're trying to create. The new school will pick them up. So you're coming into your View Student Data screen. You're saying this student, and I'm just going to find a random student here, Jenny. Jenny is not coming back this summer. We got a message. All right, I'm going to uncheck the active flag. She never attended a day of school. She has no attendance for any days of school, and I don't want to report her to the state. I could click save and leave it just like that if I wanted to, but since she's not coming back for the current year because it's her current year's record, I would probably uncheck the rank and honor roll. I leave that up to you, but these are the 3 that you definitely want to uncheck. And you want to check the state reporting one because you don't want to accidentally extend that student via the WISEdata portal, because then you have to delete them out there. So, all right, that's the live look there. And then, yeah, if you have a question about dropping students, let me know. That's pretty straightforward. Dropping over the summer, dropping during the school year. So I'll just keep on rolling, and then I'll take any questions because we're almost done with this section. Deleting a student from your JMC database. How do I remove students from my JMC database? In a situation where you added a student by mistake or add a student for demonstration purposes, you would remove the student who has never enrolled in your school by using the delete a student feature to erase the student's data completely from your site. We don't recommend just deleting kids out willy-nilly. It's typically if you accidentally put the same kid in twice, or if you're a new school and you want to put a kid in just to play with, then you can do that. you could definitely delete them there as well. It's very easy to do. Deleting a student should only be done in cases where the student's records are not supposed to exist, as it permanently removes all associated data. It's only for the current year, right? It's not deleting all years, so it's not super serious, but it is serious. You don't want to delete a kid unless you have a reason to. I don't think people need to go in and clean up their data. If a kid's been gone for 5 years, you don't need to delete them out. You can, but they're just inactive, so they're kind of hidden in your database anyway. So I leave it up to you, but I'm not a fan of deleting students unless they're accidentally entered in there. So it's very easy to do. You would go under Edit to delete a student. I think you have to go to the district. Yep, we switch to our district building, and you would find that student. We list their name and their student ID, so you're not accidentally deleting the wrong kid. Find that kid and delete them out, just like that. It's irreversible. You sure you want to do that? Yes, I do. There is not a way to get them back in the JMC database. But again, inactive kids that have been dropped are already hidden in your database, because when you're on the View Student Data screen, just make sure you choose All Active, and then you're not seeing those inactive kids in your database. So we're at the end of the student enrollment part. Is there any questions about drop, adds, and re-enters, or does anybody want to add any information in from DPI or JMC? I'm guessing not, because it's pretty straightforward. So any questions in there, Denise?
No, there's not, Paul.
Then we get to our Greg Gilman's word of advice. It's a golden hamburger. Keeping on top of adds, drops, re-enters, and deletes will take care of the vast majority of issues that might arise with Wisconsin state reporting by reducing unnecessary time spent tracking student enrollment errors that occurred earlier in the year. So that's the thing. It saves you time. All right, let's go through digital equity here. Again, this is a part that I probably am not going to show a live look because it's so straightforward in here on the parent side and the office side as well. We'll see if people have questions. It's typically very few questions about digital equity here, but the state of Wisconsin does track digital equity. You now can import digital equity, which I'll show you from the previous year. You can have parents enter it, or you can enter it manually as well. So importing digital equity, take it away, Denise.
To keep up with the changing landscape of student access to technology, it's important to collect and input digital equity data annually. In JMC Office, users can save time by importing digital equity data from prior year, allowing for easy review and editing on a case-by-case basis without starting from scratch. Import digital equity data from prior year in JMC Office. You just head to attendance, student, import digital equity from prior year. Step 1, you click the import button to import the digital equity data to the current school year. Fun fact, when using JMC digital equity import feature, existing students' records for the current years will not be overwritten. Step 2, click the Print Import Summary button to save the import summary as a PDF, or you can print a hard copy if you'd like. Helpful tip, reference the most important summary PDF to keep track of the records that were not included in the import, so you can manually update those records as needed. Step 3, click the Cancel Import Summary button to return to the import page.
So I'm not going to take a live look. That's super straightforward. Let's keep going. If people have questions about digital equity, we sure can. Let's talk about digital equity in JMC Family. It's best to let them enter or edit it themselves. So we're going to give you an overview of that. There's no parents on this. I mean, maybe you're a parent of a student, but like we have resources for you to set up the online registration and to get parents through that. I've talked to many schools on this call about how to be able to do that. So we're just going to briefly go through it so that you can educate your parents on how to do this. So go ahead, Denise.
Ensure equitable access to technology for your students by easily entering digital equity information through JMC Family during online registration. By completing the digital equity survey, you inform the state about your students' technology access, allowing targeted initiatives to improve access where needed. Simply click the digital equity questionnaire link, answer the questions, and submit your responses to the school.
Denise, do you know who typically is the most interested in digital equity in a household?
The students.
Nope, your canine friends.
Oh.
That dog is like, okay, what do we got going on here?
To enter digital equity information online, log into JMC Family Portal and navigate to register for the 2024-2025. Step 1, you click the digital equity questionnaire link to access the digital equity questions for each of the students in your family. Fun fact, digital equity information is submitted on a student-by-student basis, as access can vary among students in a family. Step 2, select the appropriate response from the drop-down list to provide information about your student's access to technology while at your residence. Fun fact, if a student has more than one primary contact, each primary contact will complete the digital equity questionnaire to provide information about the student's access at the resident of primary contact. Step 3, click the next button to submit the student's digital equity information. Fun fact, if you have more than one student in school, you will automatically be given the digital equity questionnaire for your next student. Step 4, repeat all the steps 1 through 3 until you receive the message, you have submitted data for all digital equity questions. Thank you, to complete the process. Helpful tip, if you have purchased a new computer, or if your computer has a new internet service provider, you can easily update your students' digital equity information by clicking the digital equity questionnaire link in JMC Family.
Like I said before, you can educate your family on that. It's just part of the online registration. So if you got it set up there, you'll be good to go. Now there's one more option here, the last one, which is entering digital equity data in JMC Office. This is by far the most laborious for you, but we're just going to show you really quickly how to do it.
States and schools are actively collecting data on the digital equity to address the need of students in virtual learning environments, and JMC Office provides a convenient way to enter and update this information. While most data is collected during online registration, you can also manually enter it on the View Student Data page. By ensuring accurate digital equity information, targeted funding and access can be provided where it is most needed. So you head to View Student Data page in JMC Office and you go to digital equity information. So step 1, you select the student to be edited by entering the name in the find field. Step 2, you click on the digital equity tab to access the selected student's digital equity information. Step 3, you click the add survey response button to manually create a digital equity entry for the selected student. Fun fact, if a digital equity question has been answered during the online registration process, an entry will already exist for that selected student. So then you just click the edit button to enter digital equity information. Step 5, select the appropriate response for the state-specific digital equity fields from the drop-down list. Step 6, click the update button to save the digital equity response, or click the cancel button to discard changes.
Again, not going to take a live look. If anybody has any questions, you can sure type them in, but it's straightforward. We've been doing this now, I think, since 2021, I think at least. I don't know if we did in 2020. And I think schools are used to it. I think the real key here is that you can now import it from year to year, as we said in the first part of this section, saving people the time so they don't have to go in and redo it. They would just be reviewing that information. All right, managing special education in JMC. Bringing special education data into JMC. Import Wisconsin special education data into JMC effortlessly, leveraging third-party applications like Seed, SpedForms, or Oasis, which I think one of those is renamed, but I'm not 100% sure, while utilizing JMC's membership reports and special education history viewing. Streamline data management, update records, and access comprehensive summaries for efficient special education tracking. With the ability to import special education data via the WISEdata API, JMC provides a seamless integration process, ensuring accurate and up-to-date records while simplifying data management for Wisconsin schools. So again, I'm going to just show this in the slides because it's straightforward. To get started, head to Wisconsin Special Education History, update special education history via API. Step 1, click the update button to import special education history items from the third-party application. Again, we're saying all but one JMC school in Wisconsin uses a third-party application. So we would typically encourage you to do this if you want this data in JMC. To view special education data for an individual student, head to the View Student Data page and click on the SPED tab, S-P-E-D, after the import is complete. Fun fact, to enable the update button for importing Wisconsin special education data in JMC, administrators need to disable the SSEPA and SSEPEA settings by accessing the EdFi settings on the administrator options page, which we discussed previously. Step 2, click the print summary button to obtain a printed copy of the transferred records, or click the cancel summary button to return the update special education history from the EdFi API page. All right, so that's straightforward. I don't have one there as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn it over to DPI. And I didn't tell them that they had to talk about anything. It's our chance to say, hey, is there anything you want to talk about now? Or do you want to prep people for anything you might be talking about at the What's New session coming up in a couple weeks? And then I'll also turn over to the JMC team to see if there's anything else they want to prep us for as well. So you don't feel that you don't need to have there's not a need to go over a whole bunch of things that are new. You could tell people any educational opportunities, any advice you have for them, and then you can save things for the What's New time. I leave it up to you, but the Wisconsin Department of Instruction will share any thoughts they have about state reporting for the 24-25 school year. So any things you want to share, and if not, that's okay too, because you have been super, super helpful already.
Thanks, Paul. This is Britt. I'm not sure if Heather or Josh will have anything to add on their own, but I did just want to say that we are going to be kicking off our WISE user group calls, similar to your JMC calls, I'm sure, back in September. So I advise those of you on this call to check into our WISE events calendar on our DPI web pages. Make sure that you're attending those calls. It's just a really great way for you to stay up to date with anything that we want to make you aware of, any updates that we think are worthy to let you know, so that you're not kind of spinning your wheels on maybe some data values or whatnot that are causing bigger confusion than necessary. And then there's also Q&A time in those. And then additionally, we are going to have our back to school kickoff meetings. We did these for the first time last year. We're doing it again this year. Our virtual session is on August 21st, I believe. And then we are having a number of in-person sessions in the Madison, Milwaukee, and Green Bay area. So again, take a look at that WISE events calendar. All the details are on that. These meetings are meant to be at the end of August and early September. So if that's interesting to you, we encourage you to put those on your calendar and register so that you can attend and get all of your questions answered and any of the support that we can help provide you for the new school year.
That is super helpful. I see a question there. Denise, do you want to bring that question up and see?
There is an in-person training in Madison that we are signed up for with DPI staff. Would it be repetitive or new information?
Yeah, so a little bit of both. Because it is a back to school kickoff meeting, we are going to give you a lot of similar information that we've provided before for the first half of the day, as far as different subject areas, just giving you an idea of how to best get started for the new school year. So it will be a lot of like making sure that you update your WISE secure user roles for your staff, making sure that you have your contacts updated in all of the applications, what's the best information to be aware of to get your data reporting set up, making sure, you know, like you take a look at your year-end data for last year, enrollment data and demographics for the current year. So it won't be necessarily a lot of new information, but the in-person regional meeting will also give you an opportunity to meet with some DPI staff in person. So the idea is that the second half of that day will be kind of a workshop day where you can have someone from our customer service team sit with you and kind of go over any other specific details or scenarios that you'd like a little bit more assistance with.
Great. Awesome. That's super helpful. Do you have any things that you might be sharing that are new at that the What's New in Work session item that we talked about for come up in a couple weeks from a DPI standpoint?
I do not. I will be in attendance, but that might be something that Heather might have a little bit more detail on.
Great. That sounds great. Awesome. Anything else from the DPI folks, or I would check in with the JMC folks before we wrap this up? I think let me just see here. Josh and Britt. So Josh, are you good? You good to go? Or anything that you want to talk about, Josh?
No, nothing beyond what we already talked about. Yeah,
we really appreciate that, Josh. Thank you. Jeff and Greg, anything else you want to add before we wrap this baby up? I think Greg had to hop off too. I went a little long, but I think we got into some great depth here Jeff, anything you want to add?
No, just saying nice work.
Yeah,
Good.
I appreciate it. Yeah, this is a great webinar. I just, a lot of collaboration. I really appreciate it. So let's go. Here we go. I don't think I have any questions. I'll give folks another chance here. If you have a question, go ahead and type it in during the upcoming news and events, and then we'll send you off on your way. So sign up via the office or teacher homepage here with weekly webinars. Here's the one that you're two that you should be concerned about. Number one, 8/28, which is, I think, 2 weeks from today. Not quite sure. No, I don't think it's 2 weeks from today. It's longer. What's new in Wisconsin State Reporting? Sign up for it, whether you can attend or not, and they will have some information there of what those new items that are listed there. Also, if you've got any new teachers, you can go to our YouTube channel and search for ABCs of Teacher and see the last year presentation, or have teachers sign up for the 8/21 ABCs of JMC Teacher. Maybe your teachers will already be in session, but not all of them. If they sign up for it, even if they can't attend, we will send the video to them. That is super helpful there as well. Are you ready to boost school spirit? That's what the general store portal is about. It will take you to from a daunting pile of order forms to a fully customizable online store, complete with detailed order tracking reporting. Stay tuned for the fall launch. Stay steps ahead of the back to school rush with our handy checklist, where you can easily track and complete to-dos in JMC Office, like setting your calendar. You can start chipping away those items by heading to the File Start School Year checklist. We'll call your office sometime this month as part of our summer check-ins to make sure you've got a good handle on the checklist. Immediate questions, please email training@jmcinc.com. As part of our new user playlist on YouTube, we're hosting a training to get you up to speed on JMC Teacher, including our 6 end-of-term gradebook options. We also cover time savers for reporting on infractions and attendance, so you can ace classroom management. Grab your front row seat today. Would you like to help our team make your JMC toolkit even better and receive a personalized gift as a thank you? Then become a JMC feedbacker, where we'll send you a quick JMC survey each month or so, and in return, a gift that you can redeem instantly, like coffee for the entire week or an Uber ride. To learn more, please email training@jmcinc.com. Do we have a question there, Denise, before we wrap this one up?
We sure do. It says, will you link this deck to us in our base camp? They're signed up for the email, right? If they signed up for this.
I will be emailing it to you. Yep. So I will email it to you as well. You can also post it to your own base camp. I can check with Jody, but I will make sure to email it to everybody. And you can also post to your base camp, or when we email it to you, forward it to your team. So that's a great thing to do there as well. So great question. So on behalf of myself and Denise Drew, my partner during this great conversation, on also the Wisconsin DPI folks and our programmers, thanks for your time today, and thank you for choosing JMC.